one thing I would say is like you can find value based off of what means something to you and pursue that. You value something, you want to express that value, find the lane, find your lane. You know, what opportunity exists that allows you to express yourself in the way that you want to express yourself in. Or
Some experts chase attention, but the smart ones build authority. You're listening to the Authority on Demand podcast, where credibility becomes your competitive advantage. Every week, we're pulling back the curtain on how founders and leaders turn expertise into inbound demand through books that position, media that converse, and strategies that actually move the needle. I'm Danielle Hutchinson, your host and Chief Creative Officer at Authority on Demand. Now, let's turn your authority into leverage. Hey everybody. So what happens when you look in the mirror and you don't recognize the person staring back at you? Not because you've changed physically, but because somewhere along the way you lost sight of who you really are. Today's guest knows that feeling intimately. And on the Authors on Mission podcast today, we're going to be not just talking about crafting words on pages, but the blueprints for transformation. We're going to be talking with an extraordinary author, Kenneth Wyche, who has experienced what he calls a metamorphosis during one of the most challenging periods in recent history. He has an award-winning book called Get Your Mind Right and a lifestyle brand called Life with Ken, and we're going to learn all about it soon. So without further ado, Kenneth, welcome to the show.
hi, thank you. I am excited to be here. How are you?
Hey, real quick before we jump back in, if you're loving what we're doing here, hit that subscribe button and drop us a like. We're bringing you the best authors, the most real conversations, and all the writing wisdom that you didn't know you needed. So stick around because it only gets better from here. All right, now let's get back to the conversation. Good, doing great. Always looking forward to meeting new people and chatting about their experiences and bringing to light things that people need to hear.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's dive right into it. I want to hear a little bit more about your journey that you describe as a rugged self-discovery. Can you walk through exactly what that looked like? What was this rugged self-discovery and how did it lead to the writing of your book?
Yeah, sure. So really, it's just life. As they say, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. And so for me, I had to deal with just more in your face realities. Some people are blessed or lucky enough to be able to escape certain um just things that come with life, some certain advantages and or disadvantages that come with life. For me, I didn't get to, I had my own grace and I had my own opportunities to grow and develop, but I had to do so in a way that really taught me things about existence as a whole. Like,
Right.
I used to be a very trusting and caring and loving person. I still hold and cherish those values, but I had to learn after being mistreated by people or being taken advantage of. Okay, I can't just wear my heart on on my sleeve or just be super forthcoming. Or even as another example, when it comes to handling business dealings or handling finances or just anything in that space of responsibility, I didn't always have the skills, talent, or resources or the know-how to take advantage of those type of opportunities. So that's what I mean by rugged discovery and rugged development. Like I had to garner as much energy and strength as I had to pull myself along with my mess, along with me to like just even arrive at a point of doing an interview like this ultimately. But the arc has been long in terms of character development and uh putting myself in a position where I can look back at my life and find insights as well as offer new insights and have a story to tell and develop and cultivate interest, communication, and connectivity with people. So that's what the experience has been.
Great. Yeah, no, it's definitely a powerful story, of course. And the ruggedness of it just goes to show that it just adds a layer of importance to your overall metamorphosis, right? So
Yeah.
that's super important. And so tell us a little bit more about that. Like, was there a specific trigger that, led you to this metamorphosis? I know you mentioned it happened during the 2020 pandemic, which was filled, of course, with social unrest. And so I think sometimes like these kinds of things inspire
good change too, which is kind of where your book came from. I'm wondering if you might
Yeah.
speak to that a little bit.
Right. Yeah. No, tragedy is can be a good source, can be good source material. And so yeah, and I thank you for taking some time to review my book 'cause, and pick up on different nuggets in it. But yeah, during 2020, that was like a revelatory time for me because I was pretty fresh out of my master's program. I was started work, traditional work, and then the whole world stops. And then in the midst of the whole world stopping and people being secluded and on top of one another or whatever that looks like, just great opportunity I saw broke out for different individuals that didn't necessarily, jump out for me. Now, I had opportunities come my way too, so I wasn't, lacking, but what came my way didn't look like what came some of my peers or colleagues or other people's way. And so that rubbed me the wrong way, knowing or just seeing like, okay, opportunity isn't necessarily equal, which is okay for it to not be, but just understanding that that's the experience that some person may get a certain type of opportunity that you may not get, and that dynamic that messed me up so much because I'm like, I'm talented, I just got out of school, like I'm working and putting all of myself into something, and I'm like, all right, obviously there's more I can do, but what kept me from experiencing what I saw someone else experience. And then, so it was that moment of having that revelation. But then on top of that, realizing or connecting the dots with, okay, my environment isn't conducive for me to achieve the kind of success that I want. And so that is where I ended up arriving at with respect to how did it all unravel and ultimately lead to the book is I just realized that I am not happy with my reality, and that's okay, but also I can do something to change it. And I can identify, which this book does, it identifies what are some of the issues that might prevent you from advancing, and then what can you do about those things. So I was able to apply my psychological background to my context to create a new reality for myself. And so that is, really the message of my life, my book, and the brand as well, which I'm sure we'll get into more.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect segue into get your mind right, which as you said, it's the main idea is change your mind, change your
Mhm.
life, right? So
Yeah.
it's an interesting thing because it's a pretty simple concept, but not a lot of people understand that. It's hard to wrestle with your own mind. Would you agree that's something that is hugely difficult for people?
Um, I guess when you say wrestle with your mind, yes, you have to wrestle with your thoughts, but I think that the approach that I learned to take was to support myself. And
Mm.
so sometimes, and like the world can be different, I'm not really big on social media these days. Like I have an X account and a few other ways that I'm present. But back then, like right at when this book first started, I was heavy on social media, Instagram, that whole thing. And I was finding that I was desiring to be validated by other people. And so once I realized that that validation doesn't last or it's unfulfilling, then that created opportunity for me to do something else. And it's really like, if I could identify a formula there, it would be a catalyst. Something happens, whatever that something is. That something that happens causes you to think differently about your situation, about your context. And then hopefully, after you have that thought of doing something different, and I think this is one of the challenges that people have with respect to exploring their own ideas. Once they realize something may not be the way they want, or they just have a new entrance of information in their mind, the next step is deciding what you're going to do about it and putting action to what the information that you just were exposed to. And I think that that can be a challenge for people, not so much wrestling with your thoughts, but getting on board with your thoughts, talking yourself into doing something. No, actually, that's a good idea. No, we're not going to listen to what so and so or such and such said. Actually, I do want to do this and I'm going to pioneer and I'm going to push forth. And yes, it takes some courage and gumption and fortitude to arrive at the place of applying action, but that's ultimately where you want to get to.
Understood. Yeah, I like that. And it's something kind of have to build towards like step by step, I guess you would say. And that's kind of what your book walks everybody through.
Yeah,
So, all that being said, another one of your main concepts is the idea that you only receive what you believe you're ready worthy of receiving. So I think that kind of goes hand in hand with that too. And I'm wondering if I'm sure you have some practical steps some people take to upgrade that sense of worthiness, but I'm wondering if you want to maybe share like a sneak peek as to which one of those might be for everyone to kind of get a good idea for what they could expect in the book.
sure. And that's a good connection that you made as well. With how uh where you are in life or doing something different in your life is connected to believing you're worthy of something different actually happening in your life. For me, that experience, the first time I felt that connection and that experience and inhabited that reality, um, I was going to a party. I was invited to a party, and when I went to the party, they had it was just extravagant. It was in a friend of mine's backyard, but he had a really nice backyard and his family went all out. It was we were celebrating graduation, and I just remembered going to that event and having a good time and thinking like, oh, this is something that people do, and I get like, yes, people celebrate together and enjoy time together, but I felt like this is something like you can like choose to live in a certain way that is like, fun or different or whatever. I was enjoying my time and I liked that experience. And so being exposed to new things made me feel or realize, oh, hey, yeah, I can strive or believe for something desirable or something that I want. And that is how you kind of start getting there. I think experience, being exposed to new things is definitely helpful. Vision casting is another thing you can do, or just sitting down, whether you're journaling or trying to, think of how you might want your life to be. Well, I think having that idea can set the groundwork and the framework for you putting a standard in place with what you do find valuable and what you won't find valuable with respect to your goals and aspirations.
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess you kind of have to kind of think about what you're feeling internally about what's valuable and what's not valuable.
Yeah.
Do you have like an example of like two things that might be valuable versus not?
In terms of what?
Like I guess in general, like what do you think some people struggle with the most in that regard?
Of identifying value.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's subjective. I think we live in a wonderful world, especially like in capitalist societies where you have a lot of options and we're in a market like where there are different things available to someone, whether they want an iPhone, an Android, read one book versus another book, a certain type of TV that they want to buy, whatever their amenities or whatever, however they, enjoy their life. So I think in this experience of having at least what seems to be a lot of choices, and in some cases is a lot of choices, what a person finds valuable really matters with what they're trying to accomplish with their life and what they want to get them, how they want to get the most out of their life. So if you want to build your show and do whatever it is you're doing that's within alignment to your interests, you would then potentially find value in things that will help you achieve that goal even further, whether it be investing in your business in some capacity or whatever that may look like for you. So that is one thing I would say is like you can find value based off of what means something to you and pursue that in terms of how it materializes.
Understood. Yeah, thanks for walking us through that. I'm sorry I put you on the spot a little bit there. I thought it's kind of interesting for people to think about and to get an idea.
Yeah. I know.
Um,
I hope I answered that question the way you were trying to
Yeah, you
get
did great.
get to an answer there. Yeah, you know.
Of
But yeah,
course.
it's just like you value something, you want to express that value, find the lane, find your lane. You know, what opportunity exists that allows you to express yourself in the way that you want to express yourself in, or what do you have to do to pioneer that space and go create it for yourself?
Right, absolutely. So that being said, I'd like to transition a little bit into the writing process itself too, because we are authors podcast, so we love to hear any tips and tricks that you might have to offer to people. So, you did do a lot of blogging before you wrote the book. So was there a moment when you decided to go from blog to book, and what was the process like to transition from one form of writing to the next?
Sure. Um, I kind of approached it a similar way where with the book, I outlined it, which is something that I usually don't do, but I outlined it and said, okay, I want to put these things in the book. And with my writing, I don't outline my blog posts or my articles, but I am structured in that way of what I want to include in it. So having that approach or that method of, okay, I'm going to be structured about how I lay out this content is what really helped me get in the process of writing the book. And then that transition to actually wanting to do it just came from a place of having the material or just like having enough in me where there was something to write about and something to talk about. I just felt that I had arrived to that point where I can put together a longer, more complete body of work. So just, yeah, having built up the experience and what's required for me to tell a story, and then approaching that in a structured manner is how I arrived at writing, putting the book together.
I like that, and I guess it takes a level of, like, knowing yourself and knowing when you're ready to kind of transition from one to the next, and when you just have
Yeah,
you need more space for the ideas too.
that's a
Um,
good
yeah.
point. Yes.
Great stuff. So, people would love to hear about the books, but I know you also have more out there for people to, get involved in. Can you tell us a little bit about your platform, the one that we were talking about earlier on?
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. So my lifestyle brand, Life with Ken, that
Yes.
is it started out as a blog, but I've been scaling it for the last couple of years in particular. And yeah, I focus on helping people live more confidently. There are a host of resources from videos, articles, different related resources that people can get connected with or purchase or have add value to their life, whatever that looks like for them. On there, I also have courses that I offer people as well. And those courses give even more of a deep dive within a more specific topic that I cover for each one. So I just overall try to provide resources for people to experience infotainment, to be entertained, but also have information that can help them. You know, it's like bite-sized pieces of the book, or bite-sized pieces of my course, or bite-sized pieces of a talk with someone. It's just how can I make the information as accessible as possible and as digestible as possible for a variety of appetites.
I love that. Okay, awesome. So if people want to, get in touch and learn a little bit more about it, they just have to go to liveken.com. That's the URL to head to.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
If you go
awesome.
there, everything is there. You can see all that I have to offer.
I love that. That's great. I know you offer many different courses, like so many different ways for people to improve themselves and learn more and just open their minds too. I think it's some great stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm wondering then if you have any additional advice for people who might be wanting to follow in your footsteps. Perhaps they also have a mission in mind or inspiration that they want to share with the world. What kind of tips would you like to offer the authors out there who are inspired by what you've done and might want to follow suit?
Yeah. Well, that's great. If you're inspired to do something, I think my main takeaway right now is to go do it. As long as it makes sense within reason to do. Like it's not, don't do anything that and I don't know what that might look like for somebody, but like don't do anything too outlandish, whatever that may be. But if there's something that you want to do within reason of doing, like go forth, conquer it, and like don't be taken back, and I think that's one of the things that can happen is people may feel like they don't have enough, but start with what you have. Whatever resources you currently have, just go with that and do like, and you take that little and you try to build up more and create more with it, then more will come and you will see almost like a compounding effect of your efforts and of your work. One step led to another step, led to another step, led to another step. And then before you know it, you've built out a big platform for yourself, whatever that looks like, or you have something that you can hang your hat on and say, yeah, I put my name on this. This is what I've been able to accomplish and do. So you can experience like that level of gratification and satisfaction too of being able to, put something that you care out in the world. So that's what I would say. Do if it's on your heart to do, go do it and then work out the logistics along the way.
Yeah, yeah, that's all you can do, right? It's just get started, put something down on the paper, right? And then just get the ball rolling. That's
Yeah.
ultimately how you got it, how it gets done.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, well, Kenneth, this has been incredible. I think that we've learned a ton. We all know to check out your platform, the book. We're going to put the links in the description box of the podcast today, everyone, so you can go ahead and click right on and get connected, get in touch. So thanks again for joining us. It's been a real pleasure.
Th- Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I enjoyed this.
Yeah, and to our listeners, the difference between dreaming and achieving isn't talent, it's mindset. So Kenneth has showed us that sometimes the most powerful question is not what do I want to do, but what am I unwilling to tolerate anymore, right? So all you can do is just get started writing, get out there and express your mind. So thanks for listening and just keep writing, keep inspiring, and keep leading. We'll see you next time on the Authors on Mission podcast.
That's a wrap on another episode of the Authority on Demand podcast. If today's conversation sparked something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with a founder or leader who's ready to stop being the best kept secret in their industry. If you want to turn your expertise into inbound demand, head to authorityondemand.com to see how we help clients go from unknown to in demand. I'm Danielle Hutchinson, and I'll catch you on the next one. Now, go build some authority.